all points, checked with their enfleshed fraternité, their closest art-loving copain for the Louvre, to stare at torsos and busts laid in no-touch halls with conditioned air. They must first stop meeting au sous-sol, where walls sport blue veins found on Roquefort flights, each wedge as bottom-heavy as an Anjou pear. So launched like rafts, hosts of naturous ride, all limbs and padded seats on the metro, zipped in their maps of skin. Some hang from questionably cleaned poles. Others walk down the moist morning streets with unprotected backs and hair. It's a show of bodies, hydraulically graced by youth, and of others freed from the clothes that function like slings, sagging no more at their exclusion from sights, like the Mona Lisa, in pain, suffering her societal ache, tooth gripped by a tongue that will soon be unstrapped to lick a cut on the thumb or juice from the lips after eating. Our naked fellows, our coterie of curated core designed by DNA spread among the art. Then an homage to a wired tour guide, they clot in a clutch of courteous ears, worn above stirred then shrunken chests. Like iron lungs puffed with air, the nudists become so pure, like marbled installations rarely moved, near statues poised in a Gallic light, unbleached by windows set too high to mar their original breathing portrait of skin. So I asked a friend before I came up here what he'd rather hear first, a poem about nudists or about a sociopath. And he said nudists. Thank you, Paul. So now I'm going to read a poem spoken by a sociopath. There's a publication called 3 Elements. Are people familiar with it? If you are, do something, make noise, clap, wave at me. Okay, I heard a teaspoon. Okay, and every issue, there are 3 keywords that they put out in a call for a theme. And one of the issues called for the keywords pinprick, trapeze, and calico. And it seemed to me fairly simple. Okay, pinprick, someone who's sewing; calico, something that's being sewn; trapeze, okay, let's run with that. So what I came up with was a dramatic monologue spoken by a sociopathic and embittered farm wife. And this poem is called Words from a Midwest Farm Wife for a Traveling Circus Acrobat. You swing here from the east, where nothing is dusty, just diesel and domes, where church spires are syringes flushed from earth like strung-out doves, pinpricked vessels of stupor. Here cows cluster in gangs. They chaw and low. I wish you'd unhook my blouse, sewn from spit and calico. But aloft you sweat your way through your spiraling grabs. Hand twist air, hand. The dumb meat weight of you pikes, curls back on itself like a peeled plum skin. One scared to be caught staring by the knife still. What's left to risk or fear? Fists maybe, rope burn. The perpetual stink of pigs and tractor grease. More bars like the one you hang from, showman. But the big tops got spicier acts than you. Lions seethe on their stools, their tails like scythes to slash wheat. And clowns boil from their red-hot car. They pop and roll like bath plugs yanked from scalded sinks. So what? Would it take for you to blister your own way down past the net, the shock on our Midwestern faces? Are you brave enough to strike up a homestead here in the flattest form of sky? Fall upwards at us like haystacks made you, some sawdust promise that a girl would catch you in her burlap sack. No greater show on earth, not milk barns, not flies. No need to scream on your arrival. I'm trying to think of what would be a good palate cleanser for that. In my mind, she was urging him to jump. People are staring at me in the dark like, that's really disturbing. Okay. All right. So I tend to like verse poetry or constrained poetry, poems that have certain parameters set on them. There's something that I like about confinement. So this next poem is an ekphrastic poem. And this is something that I do with students. I say, does anybody want to define ekphrastic? Anyone? Anybody want to define ekphrastic? About art. Yes, beautiful. Okay. So it's a poem in response to a work of art. Thank you to whoever yelled that out.
Another work of art in response to another work of art.
Yes, that's true. Right? Okay. So this poem is called Rustic Impression. And it's pegged to a painting from Ireland, out of Ireland, that's called Chickens. There's an exclamation point, chickens. So this is my imagination about what's happening in that painting called Chickens. Rustic impression of a blind house, a barn, and a forked path. At first, the flowers open to a scene that makes us stay fixed on its slate roofs, the drop from their eaves to the two skewed red doors, one hung on a bespectacled barn. Its windows stare right at a whitened house, the lone blemish, a blood slab of wood. No barrow depends on this trio of hens, or are they cocks, strutting, wattles rouged as poppies, blurred to a haze near a cadre of rocks, like blunt cadets they point to a crotch in the yard. It spreads its branched bones in the dirt, then cracks out a path between hay and home, table and trough. Unlovely. Letter, it wants us to name what we are, cad or cluck. At our best, loved, we scratch down a dirt road to sleep, beasts bound for their separate beds. Plucked from paint to be a bird or a man, we perch on respective clawed feet, all to march for one hanged pair of doors. Okay, that was a little morbid. Here is another poem that is pegged to a news story. Everybody remember the fox, pre-pandemic, that walked 2,700 miles across melting ice, going from Norway to Canada. It was like a 8-pound fox, like incredibly tiny little fox, and it made this huge emigration alone. So this poem is about that little fox. It's called Arctic Traveler, for the fox that walked 2,700 miles across melting ice. Little fox, how long will you stay in my imagination, steadily traipsing toward dawn? Put down your silvered coat and jaw, mind from your den in Norway. Lick your nailed paws. For millennia, you've been stored, my needle-nosed plier, among hammers of your Arctic home. Antlered reindeer, clawed bears, and weaponized salmon, flung hard as peppered snow, woo, made errant by dirt. But when ice warms, it reconstitutes in darts as sharp as you, brave tooth. So what did you prize from home's belly when you left it for colder, cold, its myths of fish? What taste kept you slipping across continents, meted in miles, from your glossed caps in sunlight all summer to this Canadian post? Soldier, dodging an end to your epic among Swedes, Danes, and Finns, and their bête noire, the Russians. Unhook your red tongue, then wash till night turns you into a sickle, an almost closed O. Sleep in my stunned mind, softer than your body, bent on glaciered roads. So in case that wasn't clear, I liked the fox. And I thought that she was cool. All right. Let's see. Carol, how am I doing on time?
Okay. 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. All right. I think I'm going to read a litany that's kind of a rant. Largely because rants are kind of easy to follow. Okay, so this poem is called Our Father, Our King, and it comes from a liturgical poem that we read during the high holidays if you're Jewish. Our Father, Our King, Avinu Malkeinu. If you're familiar with it, move around like there's a light sensor or something. Is anybody familiar with it? Yes. Okay, all right. So I'm interested in the poem because it alternately beseeches God and demands things of God. Like it alternates between, saying things like, have compassion upon us and upon our children, which is very sweet. Who doesn't want compassion for their children? And sort of demanding things of God, like frustrate the designs of our enemies, and there are different tones. So it goes back and forth between, have mercy upon us, like a father has mercy upon his children, support us, take care of us the way a ruler would take care of his subjects. So this poem is called Our Father, Our King. Oh, I should say that this is not, the content deviates from the actual prayer. This is someone speaking, Our Father, Our King. Not me, someone. Okay. Our Father, our King, I don't feel like a cherished girl. The fall enters as a forgiven guest, known to the dinner party, if absent for seasons. Our Father, our King, the air is full of tolerant embraces. Trees thrust out their branches, and I cannot do my part. Our Father, why have you brought me into your orchard of plums to show me the autumnal variety? I am well versed in the sight of fruit as it stacks in pails. What good does it do you to show me faultless things? You are fast losing my most faithful sense of your indifference. Our King, for years I have known you as you claim to be, wrathful or dispassionate, but always at a good distance. Now you torment me with nearness. Take your hand from my head. I'll uncover my eyes. I'll testify to your off-kilter beauty. Without direction, I'd recall for a jury, this harvest is more lovely and worthy of exhibit than the most mature and idiosyncratic among your works. I swear, I curse. I ask for a remission of words and to be left in an unlightened silence. Or as you once did with ribs, reconsider my exquisite oneness which you created. May you see fit to deliver me, an unwashed and distinctly wicked man. May you make him offensive as an apple eater, a clothes wearer, a sky-fisting bellower. But send me a dirty beloved, whose body will drop down, distend, and discharge like an overripe berry into my knowledged mouth. I sort of feel like I should issue a disclaimer or an apology for that. Sorry, Mom. All right, let's play a game. What subjects would you like to hear read about in poetry? Yell out a theme, and I'll see what I can find. I'm taking suggestions. God and death. Confusion. Oh my goodness. Gratitude and humility. Okay, I like that. Or love. These are all great. Gratitude, humility, love. All right, I have a nice one. Let's go for gratitude. Okay, so this is an exercise that I often do with my students, where I ask them to pick an aphorism or a saying from their family. Every family has its values, and they often get expressed in sayings. Anybody have a great saying that they want to yell out? This is me listening. You won't say it publicly? Okay, say it. No, that means it's good. Say it. What is it? Joe, I hear you. What is it? What's the saying?
He doesn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out.
Okay. All right. Impoverishment. Very nice. Okay. Anybody else have a family saying? Or maybe it's a line of religious text. Anybody have a saying that they...
Never a fine day came, but a rainy day was right behind it.
Okay. All right. Fatalism. Right?
I suppose.
Okay. Fatalism, doom. Okay. Very nice. Dark pragmatism. Okay. So this is something that I do with writing students, where I ask them to come up with a family saying and then pair that with things that they're aware of during their day. Like maybe it's 10 sounds that they've heard since the start of their day. And the point of it is to pay attention to the way that the past informs or intrudes on the present. So in this case, this poem is called Imagining Abraham. And I take as my refrain in the poem this line of text, from Jewish texts. My father was a wandering Aramean. So I think you'll be able to follow. I hope so. I hope it's clear. Imagining Abraham as my silent immigrant parent. My father was a wandering Aramean. He placed a dead deer in my hands. My father was a wandering Aramean and erased for me the path to his home. My father was a wandering Aramean whose goodness was the oar that rowed him in the boat of his soul, alone. My father was an Aramean. He spotted the dark and blurred halos, my father. Was an Aramean wandering because he'd been cast out by beasts? My father wandered. Like an Aramean, his feet were his indigence shoes. He unveiled himself to the air like a shivering bride. My father, my wanderer, walked on the ice near our home like a heron. My father was ice of the lake, a bird of sparse plumage. He wandered as feathers fly. One more? Okay, thank you. All right, so I heard really cool themes yelled out. There was love, there was God. I think I heard death. Did somebody say death? Okay, let me see if I can find a good death poem. Oh, death, death, death. Actually, you know what? Death is a great theme, but I think I'm going to close with a sweet poem. I like that question. What are you drinking? It wasn't to me, but I'm drinking Malbec. Okay. So this poem is called Commitment, however people want to understand it, to whomever it is offered, and from whomever it is accepted. Commitment. Call it rocky land, a slim raft of hope, a shimmied, then stagnant skiff squatting in the shallows, visibly wrapped, longing at the shore. Its anchor has the taste of iron when you gnaw at the leg of its length, then haul it up, link over married link, capable, strong. Feel it, this boat of boredom turns fast as a fish, gulping happiness as gladly as it does the patinaed air. Puffed, its gills push us far from its ears like a fight, too wet and fixed to recall. A hook to the mouth pulls us close, almost to the center of something. You dive your drift onto it, then me. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Susan. Yeah, let's hear it one more time for Susan once she gets back to her seat. And she has a lot of nice books back in the lobby you can take a look at on the when we're all done with the open mic here. So we're going to start with the open mic. We have a lot of great readers. When it's your turn to come up, you get one long poem or two short poems. And them's the rules. So we're going to start with our favorite library